Hey guys, just finished watching Luke Cage season 2, episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 1 straight Soul Brothers number 1, and directed by Lucy Liu. These episodes are pretty interesting. I'm watching these 2 episodes back to back and then reviewing these rather than every episode, just because I only have the weekend really to watch it, and I want to make sure I get it all done before by the end of Sunday. And I might be busy tomorrow, so I probably have all day to watch this here. So we're gonna get into this to see how I end up reviewing it every 2 episodes, or maybe next time I'll sit and watch 3 episodes and review it. So we'll see how things go with that. So starting off with this first episode, it was really interesting having Lucy Liu directing the episode. I thought she was be directing the whole thing. I mean, if you're gonna get a known person like that, I thought she'd be directing the whole show, every episode, but I mean, I guess not. It looks like it's a different person. It's Stephanie Green. Steph Green. So I looked her up, but nothing interesting there. I mean, pretty interesting. Good director, didn't really notice anything. The directing, even for Lucy Liu, doesn't really stand out. It's just like, oh, cool, she directed that episode. It didn't really stand out. I think if you didn't put it in the title or anything like that, it wouldn't really. It wouldn't really stand out. So I was hoping to see her as an actual character, get her on the show, but it looks like she's just behind the camera for the first episode. So we start off, we see Luke kind of stopping, we find out that we see Luke stopping drugs, and they have his name on it, so the drug dealers are kind of putting his name on the drugs, and I think I like that idea, how they're playing with that. They're trying to get at him by putting his name on the drugs and stuff, and he's trying to claim back his name. And Claire's doing physical therapy with Misty, getting her used to using her one arm rather than, because she lost her right arm, so now she has to do everything left-handed, so that's going to be cool to see that. And where that storyline goes into, it's obviously we build up to the arm, so we still don't have that going into episode 3, so that'll be cool to see where things jump in with that. I imagine she'll get the arm same time whenever Danny shows up for this season. Shades is still with Mariah. We see that they're hanging out, so it looks like so far they're going to be the villains of the season, and I like the idea of doing that, but at the same time it's just like, why are we reusing the same villain? It's just like Flash doing another speedster, it's kind of annoying. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see where things go with this for this season, and how Danny gets involved, because so far it doesn't look like there's no reason for Danny to join into this, unless they're filling off the ending of Defenders, where he's just protecting the streets, just like Matt Murdock told him, as he was before he was quote unquote buried underneath the rubble. That's what they think. Everyone thinks he's dead, right? So I think that's going to be cool to see how that plays involved when we get Iron Fist joining the season. In a couple of episodes, so hopefully we'll get to see that pretty soon. It'll be cool to see how much we get to see of him and how much that takes place, and maybe Danny can get some sort of a costume, because I imagine Nelvin Potter's still out there. It would be really cool seeing that. I think it's going to be cool to see where things keep going with all that. And everyone keeps telling Luke Cage, Claire Temple, they all keep telling Luke that he needs to start getting paid for what he's doing. So I think that's really going to be cool to see where they play with that, and how they bring in how does he start, going to start up the whole hero for hire type thing, and when they do set up with Iron Fist, how are they going to play with that, because Danny doesn't need money, he's a billionaire, right? So that's really going to be cool to play with all that, and where that kind of goes for the rest of the show. How is he going to do that? Is he going to just, no, I'm not going to save your life, I'm going to just wait for you to pay me, and then you save my life type thing? Or he'll just, he'll have a fee, and he'll just put the guy back. Like, that's going to be cool to see how that goes, because it's really not part of him, especially the way things end in the second episode. That'll be cool to see where things build up to the whole hero for hire storyline. It seems like we're going to get, especially with Iron Fist joining this season. James Lucas is in town, and it looks like he's a criminal. So James Lucas is actually Luke Cage's father. So that's cool having him around. I was recognizing the actor. I was like, where do I recognize him from? Where do I recognize him from? And I recognize him from Fan 4 Stick. So that was quite cool that he now has something a little bit better. He's redeemed himself with Marvel, and he hasn't gone down since that movie. But that's really cool seeing him back here. And we get Luke goes to see Mariah, and she threatens Claire. And that's when Luke ends up walking into the trap, and he goes after who is he going after? He goes after actually Arturo. and he ends up getting into the tries to blow him up. It doesn't work. He just walks right out. And the CGI on that explosion for the giant rig when he was trying to do, it looked really, really bad. The fire looked fake. And I remember seeing that in the trailer, and then I think I even made that in the first like little teaser trailer that came out, and I was saying that, oh my god, it looked super fake. That I was like, okay, it's okay for a teaser trailer. The special effects are gonna get they have time to work on the fire to make it look a little real, right? And obviously they're not going to, actually have Luke Cage go through the flames, and you can't. It's difficult to do that with the stunt double when the character doesn't wear a mask like that, and you want a close up shot of him on fire. So, but it looked really fake. So I would have liked to have seen that the special effects looked really fake on that. So hopefully they can, if they have other explosions, they can do a little bit better. Some of it looked really, really fake, so they could just beef it up. But it was kind of just took me out there. And then we see that, so that was really cool there. So he gets shot by a Judas bullet, and it doesn't really hurt him. So we don't know what's going on with that. And that's where we see Bushmaster beats up a bunch of guys, and he gets shot, and he seems bulletproof-ish, or bullet-resistant, more or less, and because they actually end up penetrating him, and that's when he takes him out later on in the second episode. So that'll be cool to see him going up against Luke Cage. How powerful is he, and where things went on from him. So I looked him up in his wiki for the comics, and he actually went through the same process as Luke Cage did, but because Luke Cage went through an accident, and it was really unclear what exactly happened, he didn't really get the exact same powers as Luke Cage. He got kind of a failed version of them. So I think that's really going to be cool to play with that, to see how stronger he is than Luke Cage. It seems like he's probably not stronger at all, so he's probably just kind of half the strength of Luke Cage. So that'd be cool to see how things go with that. And that's when Luke goes to see Mariah, still all tattered and stuff, and clothes all tattered, and he gives a Judas bullet to her after he brought Arturo into prison type thing. So that's where we end on the first episode. The first episode was pretty good and stuff. So far, it's not as good as the first season. So we'll see where things go with this. Hopefully things can build up, because it seems like a repetitive of the same, the first thing, by having the same exact villains and stuff. There's nothing really different from the first season. So hopefully we can see where things go in the next episode. So the next episode, season 2, episode 2, straighten it out. Claire thinks that the second bath, when he shows up at Claire's place and she looks at him and stuff, think that the second bath, the reason why the Judas bullet didn't do anything is because the second bath, it made him more bulletproof. So that'd be cool to see how strong is he, at what point is things are going to go. I think that's really going to be interesting to see where things kind of change from here. And it's going to be interesting to see how things kind of play with this, because the whole Judas bullet, Arturo was actually arrested just by sheer owning of it, and that's really an interesting idea, since it falls out after the I think it's probably that's probably fallout from the Spider-Man Homecoming, when everyone who cleaned up, anyone who has any weapons that are left over from the incident, alien tech, would be it's just a crime to own anything like that. So I think that's really going to be cool to see that, and it's left over from Asian tombs and stuff. So that was really, I guess, kind of a connection there. So it was really interesting with that. So then we see Claire's worried about that there's something else out there worse than another Judas bullet. So that'd be cool to see where things go with that, and how things kind of get worse for there. Arturo ends up getting let go by the cops because it was Luke Cage that brought him in. It's actually the same lawyer as Wilson Fisk's. Donovan actually gets him out of. He's a criminal lawyer for all these shows. That's really cool having him around there. It's actually the same lawyer who got Fisk, or didn't get Fisk out, but who Fisk's lawyer and all that stuff. So it's really cool dealing with that. And I guess that guy must be a busy guy, since he's dealing with so many different criminal enterprises. And surprising that maybe at one point Donovan could be the connection between Fisk, Mariah, Shades, and all these guys to coming together. I think that could be an interesting idea for a potential Defender season 2 later on in the future, so that could be cool there. Shades ends up killing Arturo for insulting Mariah. That's really an interesting thing to see that going down. Luke goes after Cockroach and gets blasted out the window. That was really cool seeing that. So it's unclear if it was like another Judas bullet. It looks like it was for it to send him out of there. I imagine like a grenade launcher would send him flying too, even though it's not going to, maybe, because a rocket launcher actually a rocket, he was hit with a rocket in the first season. It took the building down, but Luke doesn't actually hit the rocket, so that would be cool to see him, in an empty parking lot. Someone shoots a huge rocket launcher at him, and he just punches it square in the explosion, and then the whole thing just engulfs him, and he's fine. So it looks like he survived the explosion of the rig that was a trap set for him. So it would be cool to see him survive that, and this is going to be cool to see where things go with that and how he gets shot out, and actually ends up dislocating his shoulder, and so Claire has to put it back together. Claire wants to get Luke talking to his father again, wants to build up their relationship again. And Luke kind of refuses to do that, since everything everything bad that's happened to him can all start with the lies that him and that his father did, creating turning Wilson Lucas, turning his brother into Diamondback, and creating the whole reason why he was in prison and all that stuff, giving him all this problem. So I think that's an interesting idea, playing with that. So it's going to be cool to see how the relationship continues on from here. Then we see Bushmaster goes after Mariah. Mariah goes to see Mariah's daughter for herbs. Mariah's daughter is actually she went through medical school, and she's now selling herbs at a shop in Harlem and stuff. And that's when Bushmaster goes there, and he gets some herbs, and he ends up taking it, and it looks like they start healing himself from that. And it seems like she knows the idea of that, knows the powers of that it's going to happen. So I think that's going to be cool to see where things go with that, and how things are going to be involved with all these herbs and stuff, and where things are going to continue on. And are they going to give someone else powers? I think it's going to be an interesting idea to play with that, and to see how things kind of continue on with that storyline with her and her herbs, and how much power should they give her. And is that where Bushmaster's getting his powers, or are they doing the same idea that he went and found the doctor, I can't think of his name, but who made Luke, and gave him his powers, and is he going to use that did he go through the bath, also that failed version of the Luke's powers, just like from the comic books, or are they using the herbs? I feel like they could be using a bit of both. Maybe the herbs are healing him after he went through the bath, and all that stuff. I think that could be an interesting idea. But I think the idea of saying that just the herbs gave him the powers type thing, it would be a little bit a far stretch to push it. So who knows? We'll see how things go with that. But that seems a bit far-fetched to say that the herbs give him the powers. Luke ends up gets a call from the older woman when he to try and stop a cockroach from beating his wife and son. But he gets there, and he starts beating the crap out of them. And I was just thinking, he's just destroying everything in the place, to the point where he even looks over at them, and they had the fear in their eyes, and that's when he realizes he went too far, and that's where the episode ends. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with that, and how things kind of continue on. I think that would have been an interesting idea to play with for Daredevil. It kind of reminds me of the season 1 of Daredevil, when he ends up beating up some guys, a criminal, follows a criminal throughout the rooftops, and the guy goes home, and it's when he starts beating him up in front of his son. I think that was an interesting idea with that. So it's going to be cool to see where things go with that, and how things kind of change for Luke, and how is he going to change his stuff? Is this going to taint him and type thing? Since he's now this celebrity of Harlem, I think how is that going to affect his image, and where things are going to go with that, and how is Danny going to get involved? So far, it seems like it's only Luke Cage's problem for now. I don't see how really Danny could pop up. I mean, he could just pop up just wanting to help, because that's what Danny would do type thing. And also he was, he made a promise to Daredevil, to Matt Murdock. So I think maybe this could be part of that idea, that he's just, going out there to help stop crime. Maybe they just end up meeting on a random crime scene type thing. Danny's chasing one guy and Luke's chasing another guy, and they meet up just like in Daredevil, so just like in Defender. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things get there, but hopefully there can actually be a connection for Danny, and not just him I found this thief, this guy beating this guy up, so I'm just stopping this random guy, and it just be a kind of coincidence just because they're superheroes. Hopefully there's more of a personal connection for Danny to be part of this. There's actually kind of a whole tie-in thing, so it's going to be cool to see where things go for this in this season. Setting up the whole Heroes for Hire could be pretty cool. It would be pretty interesting to see that, and maybe we can get Nelson Murdock by the end of the season to give Danny his costume going into Iron Fist season 2, and maybe Luke could get some more yellow shirts. That could be really cool seeing that. We haven't seen too many yellow shirts, so hopefully we can see that too. And he can get like the chain or something. That would be really cool to see at the end of the season. Danny in a costume, or at least the mask. At least getting some sort of a mask, right? To see as Danny the billionaire. Danny Rand the billionaire. So I think it would be cool him getting the mask type thing, and then having Luke fighting with a chain type thing would be really cool seeing that in this show. So all in all, I like where things are going for this season. It seems a bit repetitive as the season 1, so it's kind of not fresh anymore. It just seems not as on the same level as season 1. So it's just kind of, hopefully things can kind of change here. They're just spicing things up. The idea of the Bushmaster thing is an interesting idea. Although it's also the same thing as Diamondback with his powered suit that allows him to be almost as equal as Luke Cage, but they're clearly setting him up that he's clearly not as strong as Luke Cage, so he might slow Luke down a little bit, but it feels like Luke and Danny together are not going to be a single match for, they're not going to be bothered at all with Bushmaster. So it's going to be cool to see how strong is he going to be. Is he going to get stronger throughout this season? I feel like he would have to be for him to be even a threat to them. Maybe Luke on his own, they could be okay, kind of evenly matched. Luke is still stronger. He could last his zone type thing on there, but it's still, at the end of the day, Luke would definitely beat the crap out of him. Since Luke is bulletproof, he's Judas bulletproof, and yet this guy's regular bullets kind of leave a big mark. So maybe a grenade would probably blow this guy up, probably kill this guy, whereas a grenade, Luke could probably survive it. He survived a rocket blast. So, and I don't think that the Bushmaster would survive a rocket blast. So it's gonna be cool to see where things go with that, and how does he become a bigger threat, and where things could kind of continue on from here. And also, I kind of like the idea of dealing with the drug lords and the gangs and all that stuff, but it just seems like repetitive for the Luke Cage show. So, and I know it's only season 2, but hopefully they can change it up a little bit more and bring in a few more comic book characters, different versions, different types of villains for this season. So we'll just see where things go with this, and see if there becomes another villain. Because so far it feels like it's just repeating the same villains from last season. It is kind of a bit annoying and stale, but we'll see where things go with this, and who Danny brings. Maybe Danny brings someone else along with him when he shows up. That could be cool to see where things go with that. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below. Where do you think things are going after these first 2 episodes? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.